First of all, it's a great gratitude to all the Kanachur management. Felt that I am one of the resource person for today's conference, and I thanks to my friend Professor Mrs. Molly Saldana. She is my classmate, and all Kanachur College of Nursing faculty and organizing committee for me inviting, and considered I am one of the resource person to be share my knowledge with you today. That is a topic it has assigned me is a concepts of review of literature. As we know, we all born and brought and leading the life with the experiences or maybe idealistic way we have learned from our parents, our known persons, our role models, our teachers, everything. Our life is depend on our previous things, how it will be and how we have to be refined ourselves as a human beings or good citizens. So that is what not only in the research it is important to be look back what it is already existing knowledge, but is more important in the life also we adopted the same principle. Always we are moving ahead with the what it is experienced in the earlier. Maybe those experiences we are acquainted with our parents when we are born and we are in the childhood life. Later we move to our colleges where we will meet our seniors, our teachers. All the time one other way we look back how they are, same way we try to refine ourselves to be go ahead. This is what we have normally adapted. What it is already existing, we try to refine. So with that concept only, even in the research process, I hope already you have got some enlighten your knowledge on what is review literature in the inaugural session. Many experts, even the chief guest has highlighted how importance of this review literature. Today in this session, I try to be have some most important, that is what is review literature, what the elements and other concept. Try to be clear the concept to be how we have to be implicate into the research process regarding that. Without delaying, let's move to the thing. Today's objective of my session, at the end of the session, all yourself will be able to understand the concept of literature review. So what exactly the literature review, and identify the purpose of the literature review in the research process, and distinguish between different types of the literature review commonly we applied into the study in the health professionals, and also slight enlightening or gaining the or develop the insight on writing the literature review. Then the content I am going to cover in this session is, these are the headings I am going to deal, and moving to the next. As we know, the literature review. When I started my professional life in the PG, started entering to the research field in the master's nursing, the partial fulfillment of my course, they were assigned for to be conduct of research project. First my teacher has told you come up with some research problems, and same way they're asking to be collect enough review literature which is supported for your research problem. I was totally confused. Same morning madam was telling that already the research has conducted, the many review literature has identified and as it is existed, why it is, how can it called as a research? So that was a big question in my mind, why every teacher is bothered and back up to us to be collect review literature. If sufficient review literature only, you can go ahead for your research. Otherwise you change the concept or you change the problem. So this is what all the time when I initiated in my master degree, I felt that why they are back of this review literature. So go back to the 20 years back, it's very difficult to collecting up the review literature. We are only depending on to the manually go to the libraries and read the journals. We didn't had any online facility or accessing in what presently we have with the Google. Within few minutes we can get off any type of the reviews or the concept, articles, reviews, everything. We in this maybe moment itself, any concept if we give, we'll get enough resource material. But that time it was not like that. So we have to move to the libraries where the librarian have certain accessing key or the authority to be getting after literature. So with that way, we have moved to the IMA. One library was the Indian Medical Association library in Bangalore. We used to go to that librarian. We take the appointment availability of his presence and asking him to collecting up something and sitting with him, and 5 problems we go, all 5 area we can't be collected. See that which the concept or problem, more reviews we are getting and downloading and getting the print. So this is something, the great exercise we could do that time, but now it is very easy. So this is something question for the new researcher. Why we have to be go way back of this review literature? But definitely it is a very, very important, we can say that as a foundation for the knowledge advancement for every discipline, not only the medical or healthcare, nursing, etc. The review literature is an important element for the research project. So when we go to the research area or conducting of any research, definitely we need to have some of the review literature. Already it is existing or conducted the research. And at the graduate or doctoral level, the literature is an essential feature of thesis, dissertation, as well as grant proposal writing. We consider proposal preparation. Morning madam was narrating, writing to the proposal to the any grant agencies. Definitely how best we are supporting with certain review literature or preparing proposal, it is very important. And that is say a substantive, thorough, sophisticated literature review is a precondition for doing substantive, thorough, sophisticated research. So how we call as a the dissertation, the paper, a research project is a having good weightage. That is depend on how well we are gathered the literature and use the literature in the maybe selecting problem or maybe discussion or conclusion, report writing. So that is gives a good weightage. It is there, and as a researcher cannot perform significant research without first understanding the literature in the field. As we know that we are very clear. So it is one of the iconic or unique national conference we have come across, because even morning madam told every time we go with a research methodology and all, why to be choose only one topic, it is a literature review. Definitely to understand the literature review, it makes you to be good research work we can be carried out in the future. And as advanced level literature review shows how prior research is linked to a new project. So what already it is happened, how we have to be linked, and what present tasks are the research question, research area, interested field we need to go ahead and summarizing, synthesizing what is known while identifying the gap in the knowledge. So what it is already gap is there. That is maybe many times, many way we can be define the gap, and facilitating theory development and closing those gap are areas where enough research already exists, and uncovering area where we can more research is needed. So with this introduction, move to that. So what is the research literature, or how that literature review we are going to be understand with the certain definition and meaning will be moved. And if we look to the very common way understanding literature review in the perspective of research, a collection of scholarly writing on a topic. So anything scholarly or writing on the topic we considered as a literature or review literature in the perspective of research. These writing can be form of scholarly peer-reviewed articles, conference proceedings, dissertations, books, or any other sources, like preferably the literature which has been thorough peer review process. It has to be published, or it should be indexed journals, or it is a undergone certain peer review process. So this is what we are called as a, or simply defined, that is what is literature review. And going with some of the definitions to be more enlightening the what the concept of literature review. Generally speaking, literature review is a comprehensive background of a literature within the interested topic area. So what the topic we are taking, in that area, something comprehensive background we try to be collect it. Or similar studies, already published things, we are going to try to collect it for your area or topic which you are chosen. So this is what that O. Gorman and McIntosh in 2015 has defined what is generally speaking about review literature. And one more, that it is a critical component of the research process. So it is a very critical component of research, and it's a basic foundation also that provides an in-depth analysis of recently published research findings in specifically identified area of interest. So this is something more important component, and in-depth analysis of recently. This is what we are taking recently. We say that our teachers will be very much particular. Within 5 years of that previous studies only you have to come and collect and report what the review literature supporting for your area. So that is in-depth analysis of recently published research findings in specifically identified area which you are chosen in the particular research field. And also it's a written document that presents a logical argued case that founded on a comprehensive understanding of the current state of knowledge about a topic of the study. So this is also the very comprehensive understanding we'll get for that what area we are going to be understanding the research. And also it's a type of writing that demonstrates the importance of your research. So it is something review literature, it is good the highlighting your area. What is that scope or maybe the interest you are choose, that how important for the present. So we are maybe need for the study or introduction or background of your research, that topic which you have selected. You are always prove or supporting studies we are quoting, and we are enlightening your the scope or importance of your study by defining the main idea and relationship between them. So what the relationship, the idea, the concept you are going to be do the further research in your area. And also a good literature review lays the foundation for the importance of your stated problem and research question. And literature review do the following. One is define the concept, what exactly you are going to study, analyze and do the research or do the further study on the particular area. That will be helped to be clear through the literature review. And map the research terrain or scope. I told you it's meant time, it's create the scope. It may represent the what the need and the scope are interested. You are going with the supporting writing of the literature review. And also it is a systemized relation between the concepts. So what the concept, how we are going to explain and how we are going to do the research in your way. With that all it is correlated or it is associated with the previous literature review. And also finally it identifies the gaps in the literature. So what is new? Already what was existing in that particular field, and what you are going to be new things you are had up in the particular in your research work. So that is what we have identified the gaps in the literature. The mainly the gap already it is already review literature, because that is a question it has arises every masters when we start with the research. Already the things are done. Why I supposed to go again with the same related? That is nothing but identifying the gap in the literature, or what it is new you are going to be with the previous literature you are going to do. So these are some of the definitions is enlightening. It's a clear the concept of literature review. And coming to the why the importance of the literature we are moving. So when we talk about the importance, with the some of the lines I am going to say here, one is provides the interpretation of existing literature. So interpretation, I told you, you are going to be in the 3-level review literature is going to be implicated. One is that is identifying the research problem, and also the methodology we are adapting and how we are going to do the research, and finally the report writing or analyzing, report writing, referencing, citation, all that area. It provides the interpretation of existing literature with your new concept what you are going to be find, and also it's bring out the dialectic of contradiction between various thoughts. This is something what already done. It may be in the present scenario some contradiction it is happening, or some of the view may not be acceptable in the present situation. What way we can refine that area? So that is what we call as something contradiction between the various thoughts. Maybe the thoughts are outdated in the present situation. We require to be have some new add up of the knowledge in the what the previously it is accepted. So like that something, some studies or some drugs. Maybe earlier the particular drug is very well versed. It is used in the practicals, but now we are not using. Some of the refined drugs are coming up. So that is something like contradictory between the various thoughts. Already it is that's existing, and what gap it is there, we try to be refine our feeling that. And also it indicates the current research place in the schema of particular field. So this is what already it is a research place is there, that we try to be refine ourselves to be in the particular place or how we are going to be implicate. And also helps in calculating the impact of latest information. This is everything now, era of evidence based. Everything we want something which has tested or it has approved, it is authorized. So every practice, especially in healthcare management, we ask for now everything evidenced. Something even simple technique of giving up something, nursing care or nursing actions, we want some evidences. So finally it helps to calculate the impact of in the present, the latest, how that information we are going to be used. And research gaps scrutinized initially are further explored. So what it is lacking or what gap we are there, through the literature reading or collecting of many literature for your present interested area, we can fill that gap. We can be innovate of something gap what we have found in the previous earlier and what we are going to be implicate in the present situation. And also provides information for relevance and coherence. So this is something more important. Relevance and coherence has to be make only with the previous what already it is existed, and how we prove that your results are validated or approved. Finally, in the discussion chapter, we will be supporting with the previous earlier reports or earlier research studies quotes. We are going to support your study. So these are some of the points are enlightening how importance of literature review in the research process. And some of the other points, maybe research is carried out primarily to impart the knowledge and establish theory in the field. So no doubt it is always research is something we are going to be improve ourselves or maybe fasten ourselves, are going to be our new idea to be had up in the knowledge. So that is only possible with the review literature, and all research builds on the existing established knowledge in the field. Everything I told, even in our life also, existing experiences only we build and we will refine. Same way even in the research field also, we have to be take some of the count of the what already existing knowledge is there, how we are refined that knowledge into the in the practice or in the present scenario we are going to be implicate. And also a literature review helps in familiarize the extent knowledge in the field. It is a familiarizing, very well we are familiarized. If we read many literature, we come up with the how we could do the my research or my project or my whatever that is the project, the thing we are going to be had. So that is something more familiarizing of your area of work in the research. That is only how well you are going to be access or read of your literature review. And also the review traces the progress of knowledge. It is progress of the knowledge and relation between various thoughts. So whatever already thoughts are there, we try to be trace new things, and we are going to be make that thoughts to be what the relation they have. And also this helps in establishing the limits of available information and identifying the gaps in the knowledge. So no doubt it is whatever available we are going to limit, as well as we are identifying the gap, what to be new thing has to be added, and also identify the gaps are investigated to establish new fact and add value in the field. In that particular field, again we are going to be one more the resources to be contribute as a literature contributor in that particular field. And the literature review offers an insight into the author's depth knowledge in that particular field. So these are some of the points are enlightening how important of the literature review concept understanding in the before handling of research process. And coming to your now, so some of the question I have to recapitalize what I have discussed in these things to be have brain activity for you. What is literature review? Here there are some 4 options are there. Will you guess what is the answer for this? C. How many are raising the hands for the C? Okay, we'll see the answer. Yes, C is the answer. The literature review is comprehensive background of the literature within the interested topic area. I hope it's clear. Okay. And moving to the one more question. Why do you need to review the existing literature? What for the reason? Again, what is the answer? C. Yes. So research gaps scrutinized initially are further explored. So we are trying to identify what the research gap is there, what it is not to be identified or interrogated in that particular field. So we try to be implicated. So this is what is literature and how importance of literature in the research process. And moving to the purposes. So the purposes mainly will be again discussed with the certain points or the areas. The first, find out the information already exists in your field of research. No doubt already what it is happened or what it is done in the earlier, that we try to be found is the purpose. And identify the gaps where we could not be, still it required some research or new things has to be identified. And also find other people working in your field who are all contributed for your area. Maybe what is your interested research area? This is a question comes for the new researcher most of the time. So who are all the interested or the contributors are in this particular area? And also identify major seminal work or who are all already contributed in that area. And identify main methodology and research techniques. This is very, very important. Whenever we are handling any type of the research, we should have come up with certain procedure or the methodology. So that methodology always we are comfortable to be choose from the already the same related field how they are conducted. So little bit refining and changing we can go ahead. So identify main methodologies and research technique what you are going to be presently used, and also identify main ideas, conclusion, theories, and establish similarity and differences. This is what we are going to be right in the section like maybe mainly in the discussion chapter we try to be identify what the ideas and how conclusion and theories you are going to be presently utilized, and provide a context for your own research. So this is context and complete the framework or maybe something skeletal formation. It gives you to be how to be you are going to be handle your research work and shows the relationship between previous studies or theories what already has. So with this some points the purposes. So coming to the research reason. For the research purpose, maybe research process, how this literature will be helped out. One is to update the reader on the topic with the current literature and form the base for research. This is very clear. So we have to be know that what is the area the literature is there and how I am going to conduct my own project or research. So that is one for the purpose of research conducting the literature review. And also second, it to critically evaluate the relevant findings that have collected from previous studies to provide the rationale for proposed research. So already the existing the knowledge or the report or results are there, how we are going to justify or maybe write the discussion or recommendations. So those things we can be take up with the research purpose, what is the literature review will helps. And coming to the next is non-research reasons. Even literature review we are going to study for the non-research purposes also, especially in the medical professionals or medical practicing things. We want most of the time we take the research evidences to be make certain guidelines or practice standards and etc. So that is purposes on non-research reason. It is not only mandatory to be review literature has to be studied for only for the purpose of conducting the new research. No. Even we are going to be implicate or refine our practice guidelines, policy making. Like that we have collect the information for policy making. Many policies we are going to be keep on changing. For that definitely we have already the concept what it is earlier it is happening, that data, that findings, those things we are taking the previously and how it is going to be presently make certain new policy and other thing, and evaluate the existing practices. So what were the practices it is going on, how it is going to be effective or good enough to be implicate in the present scenario. So that also we take from the statistics or the data which has already existed. and to revise and develop the practice guidelines. I told you day by day we are keep on changing our practice guidelines. It may not be remain same. Definitely it has given very good example for new learning in the past 2 years, COVID situation. Many things we have acquaintized, new things which you are not studied in during our graduation or post-graduation. Never we heard about pulse oximetry also. I hope very good hospitals only the pulse oximetry machine was there. But that was a very commonest instrument we could use in the during the COVID, and oxygen saturation and all many new things. Or even without soap and water, we could disinfect our hands, sanitizers. This is one of the new things we could come up with shortage of resources and timely make ourselves to be equipped. These are something like revise and develop the practice guidelines. That is all come up with the literature reviews only, or what the evidences already it has done in earlier. And to get evidence-based knowledge, I told that's the now era of evidence-based. For everything we are asking something, is there any research has conducted or any approved or anything it is having some statistics. Even small drug slip, that is the one pharmacokinetics, action, side effect, that everything reviews will be placed. Even small product you want to be purchased in online, first we'll look the review part, how the reviews are quoted. So like that everything is evidence. So now the era of evidence, we have some authenticated, already it has used or it implicated or maybe it is had happened or already in the practice. So that is something evidence based, that knowledge we are taking from the literature, and to update the present innovative ideas into practices. Whatever new innovations we try to be implicate, that is only possible for reading of review literature. So taking already which has implicated, or some of the country they are started with this practice, let me try to innovate things. So like that update our innovative things with the base foundation of literature review, and to reform the curriculum. This is very most of us, we are educator, academic workers are there. So oftenly or yearly or 5 years once, 10 years once, the curriculum reforming will be done by the statutory or authoritative bodies. That is only based on to the what present is required, that is previously what it is happened, how it was working out. So this is reforming of curriculum is based on to the literature or the what the practiced earlier. That component only we try to be implicate in the present scenario. And also to develop theoretical framework. So any theory concept we need to be create yourself, that is based on to the literature. So these are some of the purposes for the non-research reason or non-research purpose also we are trying to be implicate the review literature. Then coming to the some of the different types of research we are using the literature review. First, that is a quantitative research. We are applying or you are using the literature review. For the conceptual framework or concept creation, we use the generates new ideas by highlighting gaps in existing knowledge and define, refine and limit the research problem. We have to come to have certain what is exactly what I need to be changed and how much limitation in my research area, that is only possible have with the literature review, and finds new ways to interpret prior research and prevent duplication. This is what the sir is going to be plagiarism is going to be addressed there. Prevents duplication and provides comprehensive background for new project what I am going to deal with presently. That for that I need to have some comprehensive idea background and describe the relationship of existing review. This is for the conceptual framework, a concept creating for your research background. This is and designing, even designing also the review literature, that is identify the theoretical framework and determine appropriate research design and methodologies which we are going to be used in your research work. And in the empirical, we are using direct the data collection process. What way we are going to collect the data, maybe interview or survey, questioning, many methods. The instruments we are using, what way you are using, that's all we are collecting from the review literature. What the literature says that in that particular article they are collected like that. Let me try and revise the way I am going to be using this particular present things. That is what direct the collecting process, data collection process, and analytically gets idea for how to classify and present the data. This is one, how best collection of data we does, how best we are going to interpret and analyze the data, it depends on based on that review literatures again, and helps in analyzing and interpretation of the data. And finally, dissemination or reporting of your project work or the research work. Again, review literature we require. Identify the new way to interpret the findings and throw light on any gaps in the previous research. So we will have take in discussion chapter, we write with the previous studies results we are supporting and which is not done, and presently what I identified in my present things. So like that enlightening up the gap in the previous research and what you are going to identify, so that we are going to in dissemination. Helps in relating present research findings with the previous research and recommends for the further research. No doubt recommendation will be always done with the what the earlier research findings and what my present research findings supporting and going to recommend for the further implications or the practices. And also helps in implication of research findings and stating, and helps in writing research report. So this is what we have in the quantitative research we are using for the importance of the purposes of the review literature. And moving to the qualitative research, even the qualitative research also we are going to use more about the literature review reading. One is ethnography that provides background for conducting the study. So no doubt it's give very comprehensive background how we are going to be state of our methodology. And in the phenomenological, determine the current knowledge of the phenomena. And in the grounded theory, helps to explain, support and extend the theory generated in the study. And also in the historical research, develops a research question and is a source for data in the study. And in the case studies also we use the determine the current findings into present phenomena. So in the qualitative studies also, the literature review we are going to be used in the different purposes we are going to meet. And coming to your mental work, have some recapping of this, what are the purposes we have dealt. What is the purpose of literature review? There are the 4 choices are there. Will you guess? Any guesses for question? So we'll move to answer. To provide theoretical background of the study. So that is the purpose, the overall purposes we can look. Background, very simple. So without that we can't move for the research. So this is what we have, background we are going to get. And also one more question, a literature review helps to brings clarity and focus to the research and improve the research methodology, broaden your knowledge base in your research area, and all of the above. Okay, I hope you are comprehensively have learned about the what is literature review importance. So all of the above. Okay, we'll move to next section. What are the elements of literature review? So which are all the elements we are going to be known commonly in the literature review? The essential elements we consider, one is finding main methodology. So we use for the methodology purpose. Commonly we are the researchers for the taking of any new project. The first area we take to see that what is the methodology I need to be implicate in my research area. So that is for that we are using. And identifying the gap in existing research. This is very commonly from morning inaugural session we are keep on saying this word, existing, gap in existing knowledge. And also show the relation between previous theories and studies. What already it has done, that relationship, and presently what you are going to be proving in your theory and concept. And also the explore existing information in the field of the research. And finally reference and citation. So these are the basic, the essential elements we considered in the literature review. And one by one we have enlightened in this area. Identify the gap in the existing research. So it means it refers to the unexplored or underexplored area that required further scope or further future. What we have to be wanted to be more new innovations required in that particular area. So that is what we are going to from the literature. Maybe I told you very simple example, some of the drugs we are using. Presently we are not using the drugs. Some other combination we try to be used nowadays. Maybe less side effects, are easily accessible, cost effective, or maybe administrative risk also less. All these things we count for the presently the different drug we are using. So that is something maybe unexplored or underexplored area that further scope is required. So that is wanted to be known only with the previous it is the literature are there. And also literature review writing guides you to identify the gap, also provides you with the best idea to carry out the research. So what is the gap and what we are going to be doing in the present situation. And some difficulties also we are come across with finding the gap. With that maybe one is the effort of dealing with the enormous amount of information. There may be several unanswered questions found in the research area which are more interested, but you might feel complicated with the what is the research gap you want to be considered, or you might be confused in choosing or concentrating your research problem. Many times it happens. We collect so many review literature, finally you will confuse that what is your area, which area I need to be, which focus and limitation I need to be focused in my research area. So seeing literature area or reviews, many times we will come to confusion that what is the exactly the gap identification we are finding the difficulty. So that is one, most of the time the new researchers are facing the difficulty in the identifying the gap, and difficulty to searching in organized manner. So this is very critical phase we are facing. Which keywords we need to be used and search. Maybe in the next session that sources and other things are critical analyzing, evaluating research literature review process it's going to be handled. It is something like organized way of searching is again we are finding difficulty. Maybe some authors may find the art to organize the data they have collected, and more way to lose their idea, do not notify that properly or what exactly they wanted to be collect or to become focused in that particular area. And also another one is agitation in questioning established norm. This is every researcher will have in mind. Already it has done, how I can be fought or argue, or I should search for new things. These are something agitations, feelings we come across in the reading of literature. It's difficult in challenge the current knowledge in their research field and hesitate to question others' work, what they are claim. And also finally we need to help those things, overcome these things. To properly we need to have some process of literature reviewing. The next element is explore existing information in the field of research. So this is gather, maybe exploring what is existing. Gathering inadequate or incorrect resources may lead to research failure. Hence it is always significant to collect relevant information, justify the research problem. Always to be choose that what exactly relevant to your area. And you need to have enough information to conclude your research work and be focused in this area. We need to be have what exactly I wanted to be that creamy only to be selected the research, that literature. And the example and evidence you need to mention in your work are not satisfactory or insufficient mean your dissertation project may be reasonable and defective one. Many times because our thesis have one of the big chapter is placed the review literature chapter, that what the thematically and areas we are quoting, and even for the evidences in the discussion chapter we are quoting. It totally depends on how existing information you are narrating or you are supporting for your present thing. To be very careful, and also ignorance of correct and sufficient information will affect the scope and reputation of the research work. So relevant theory, evidence, methodology, examples act as a pillar for your proof and conclusion. Finally, the how best the literature review or the way you are collecting that will be makes to the best research output what you are handling in the research area. And so it is always necessary to look out for the appropriate and required number of methods and proofs to be prove your research work. That is only possible with the previous literature what we are going to explore in the existing knowledge. And next is show the relationship between previous theories and studies. Already what it is and how it has to be show the relationship. So if you want to identify theoretical framework for any research paper, you need to look at the inductor part of research work. Already that is initiated things that you try to be implicate. Maybe some of the researcher published with application of some theory, you try to implicate that theory component in your present research work like that. Search for the stated theories, examine how the author is explained the significance of their work and effort, the research problem or hypothesis that researcher answered and validated, and also any idea or theory is cited would also be part of your research framework. So this is show the relationship of theoretical component. And next, another element already many times explained, finding main methodology and referencing and citation. So these three essential areas are essential components we are considered in the review literature. So this is a methodology section, describes how the author is researched, which theory they have employed and what the methods they have used, or how they have concluded or collected the resources, answered certain these questions. That is, what type of the method the author used for the research, whether it is an appropriate method for this study or not, that is only depend on to the how best the review literature you are supported, and how did the researcher identify their subject, for what principle they have used, maybe like subject samples, what that the population you are collected, whether the it is a size or the other variables what you are taking, demographical variables and other things, and discovering the context of study which may affect the outcome of the research, and was the sample size is used are enough to bring out the necessary result. Does the data collection tool, again it is an area very very important, the tools or instruments or the procedures, the measure the significance or accuracy of your work, what you are going to be find. And finally the reference and citation. So quoting of reference and the citation, that citation weightage also, the index, most of the time we call as a indexed PubMed or something NLM, like that we have some important that which are peer reviewed journals are the quoted articles we use to take for supporting up the things. So that area also we need to be have one of the essential component we considered in the literature review writing. And moving to your work now, what are the essential components we have learned? And literature review is basically bridge the gap between newly established fact, previously established fact, facts established time to time, previous to current established fact. Any guesses? Okay, we'll move to answer. Previous to current established fact. What already it is there, try to be connected to our current what we are going to do it. Then moving to the have some differentiates in the finding the different types of the literature review. This area actually many authors view they are going to be have stated with their own way of different type in the literature review, but I am going to talk about some of the important types of literature review we come across, especially in the healthcare professionals. Those are all mainly one is systematic literature reviews, very common systematic literature reviews we are using, and theoretical literature reviews are there, and argumentative literature review, the word itself says that argumentative, and narrative literature review, and another one is integrative literature review. So these are some of the five the types try to be make you to be familiar the different types of literature reviews. The first one is systematic literature review is a summary, analysis and evaluation of all existing research are well formulated in specific question. This is what we have with a very clear the research methodology and well formulated way it will be there. And this form consists of an overview of existing evidence pertinent to a clearly formulated research question which uses pre-specified and standardized methods to identify and critically appraise relevant research and to collect, report, analyze data from the studies that are included in the review. Maybe systematic review literature is a very commonly the medical professionals are does this. Maybe through the PubMed and other thing, they take the same similar studies, 10-15 studies, and they will come up with one manuscript. How the 10-15 studies are come up with the common results or common component they wanted to be highlighted. So that is what we have systematic reviews. And the goal is to deliberately document and critically evaluate and summarize scientifically all of the research about a clearly defined research problem. That is, it is something already research literatures are there, that they will take and they will come to conclusion with what the common factor or the common research problem or the area theme it is going to be defined. And typically it focuses on a very specific empirical question, often posed in cause and effect form. We does this cause and effect form only. To what extent does A contribute to B, that the component, the cause and effect relation we are going to study. This type of literature review is primarily applied to examine prior research studies in clinical medicine and allied health fields, but it's more also increasingly used in the social science also. And also systematic literature review can be utilized in various contexts, but they are often railed into the clinical and healthcare settings we have come across. Because morning that one of the sir is telling that our all healthcare management will be dependent to the what it is research is happening. So that is what we are having with the systematic reviews we collect. Based on that we try to be practice guidelines and other things we are going to be implicate. And medical professionals read systematic literature review to stay up to date in their field. And granting agencies, writing the proposal to the granting agencies, sometimes need them to be make sure their justification for further research in area, what we have to be required. That is what new guidelines, new practice standards or new implication required. So that is we collected from the systematic reviews, and they can even be used for the starting point of developing clinical practice guidelines also. And some of the types of systematic reviews commonly we see in the medical professionals, one is effectiveness reviews are there, and diagnostic test accuracy reviews are there, and experimental or qualitative reviews are there, and cost or economic evaluation reviews are there, and also etiological risk reviews are there, and psychometric reviews are there. Psychometry, morning madam was telling that this is the area, it is very important for the PhD. Why can't we test for something, developing the tools and other things, that psychometric reviews, and prevalence and incident reviews, and prognostic reviews, and expert opinion and policy reviews, and methodology systematic reviews. So these are some of the types of systematic reviews we come across and we read in the clinical medicine and healthcare professionals. So this is one example I wanted to be tell that how the systematic review will be there. Here one of the genes it is identified overall using the cannabis have more prone to be land into psychotic condition, the schizophrenic condition. Some research reviews as collected, maybe some of the 10-15 studies they have collected, and they come to test that whether really this gene or cannabis use have more prevalent in the psychosis condition or not. So that was, we have one of the many examples you will get. You can Google it and you can search the systematic reviews, will be come to know the example. Very, very commonly systematic reviews as done in the field of psychiatric field and clinical psychology, nursing, etc. in the healthcare professionals. And next type is theoretical review. Theoretical literature review helps to establish what theories already exist and the relation between them, and what degree the existing theory have been investigated, and to develop new hypotheses to be tested. And often this form is used to help establish a lack of appropriate theories are relevant, that current theories are inadequacy for explaining new emerging research problems, these theoretical reviews. And the unit of analysis can focus on theoretical concept and whole theory or framework. We are going to be get it in this. And theoretical literature review focus on existing theory, models, concepts that are relevant to the research topic we have. Here also one example of theoretical review I wanted to be altered pain regulatory system in chronic pain. So how this pain regulatory system is going to be affected during that is chronic pain, that one of the theoretical reviews. So theory it has shows that pain regulatory system is affected, so the chronic pain, the intensity also it is affected. So like that the preliminary data are consistent with the hypothesis of how progressive opioid changes resulting in dysfunctional alteration in the adaptive blood pressure and pain relationship. So that is what theory. What is the already it has found the regulatory system and how during the chronic pain, how it is going to be variated. So like this is one of the example of the review literature. It has quoted theoretical review, altered pain regulatory system in chronic pain. So you can Google and you can search these studies. We are going to get the theoretical reviews. And another one is argumentative review. This is something word itself says that argumentative. I am going to argue with that what it is already existed. This is what way simple we can understand argumentative literature review. It inspects the literature selectively to support or disprove an argument. We are going to disprove it. It is happened? No, it is not like that. It is wrong. Like that we are going to be, some researchers are going to be disprove it. And deeply fixed assumption or logical problem already established in the literature, we are going to be argued. And the main aim is to create the body of the literature which makes a contrarian viewpoint. It is something contrarian viewpoint. So we are going to be against what it is already done, it is wrong, or whether it is right, or whether it is a lack, or it is a gap. Something argumentative it will be there. It is an argumentative approach. Analyze literature review is genuine and important for social science, research like education reforms and immigration control and other thing, and it uses the information to support the point like lawyers uses evidence to prove their cases. Same thing, we are going to prove that yes, this drug is not to be worked, this drug is more dangerous than to the present drug what we are using. So this is a way simple we can call it's a argumentative reviews. And argumentative review are always to be argue the author's point of view on the topic. So author's view, he will be argumentative, use evidence to support the author's claim. So what the some of the support that thing that has to be, author has to be claimed, respond to the question, what question he has raised against the particular review literature, they have to be answered, and constantly remind the reader to for the authors, that is what the thesis statement they are having. Here some example I am quoted here for argumentative review. Here challenges and promises are planning future clinical research into bacteriophage therapy against Pseudomonas aeruginosus in cystic fibrosis. So this is what that something like what the bacteriophage therapy on to the particular like cystic fibrosis cases. Something it may not be worked at presently, they wanted to be have some claiming of the evidences. So this is one review I have collected, you can read. Later we are going to share these slides to you, or you can Google it and you get many argumentative reviews also for reading for your thing. And next coming to the narrative reviews. So narrative reviews are traditional reviews. We called as a traditional reviews also. Provides an overview of research on a particular topic that critiques and summarize a body of literature. And also typically broad in focus. These reviews select and synthesize relevant past research into coherent discussion. So these are narrative. Very clearly they will come up with the what, how it is going to be coherent with the present, what the discussion you made in your own research. And methodologies, findings and limits of the existing body of knowledge are discussed in very narrative forms. And this requires a sufficient focused research question, and process may be subject to bias that support the researcher's own work. So here we have some example of narrative review. Personality and diabetes type 2. How personality and diabetes type 2 will be have coherent and relationship. So this is one narration that has done in relation to targeted strategies. Our personality might have role, or better understanding of the role of the personality in diabetes etiology and progression. The more personalized prevention treatments can be called or implicated. What the iris can be quoted with the personality types. So this is what we have narration. Maybe the particular obese personality will have more prone to be have diabetes type 2. Like that something we are going to be narrating of something. So this is very simple, very common. Traditionally we are using the type of the review. Even in the medical science also for risk or maybe vulnerable groups or maybe some of the etiological studies we conducted with our reporting with the example of narrative reviews. And next coming to the integrative review. The word itself is integration. Already some of the components they were explained, but with that I am going to add up some of the new component, integrative or more comprehensive. I am going to develop the things. So this is considered a form of research that review critics and synthesize the representative literature on a topic in an integrated way such that new frameworks and perspective on the topic are generated. So new things, I am going to already it is there, but still I added some of the component to be called more integrated way of things. And the body of literature includes all the studies that have addressed related or identical hypotheses or research problems. A well done integrative review meets the same standard as primary research in regard to clarity, rigor and replication. And this is the most common form of review in the even social science also we will be using. And some example here I am quoted for the integrative review. Here, motivational interviewing and co-active life coaching as a potential intervention for positive behavior change in the adolescents. So this motivational interviewing is the one component, but with that co-active life coaching also is added, more integrative. Maybe earlier some of the studies are conducted, motivational interviewing techniques is more adolescent changing, the concept will be there, but including we have added up with the, that is what co-active life coaching. So this is what we call as a integrative. Maybe motivational interviewing versus co-active life coaching. How that intervention enhances the self-efficacy and motivation in the at risk of the youth. So this is what integrated or something new component also had up. Already many studies or reviews we have found with the using of motivational interviewing, but add up with the co-active life coaching also one component as integrated in that and tested for the things. So this is what example of the motivational, that integrative review literature. So these are there are the 5 literature reviews types we have discussed. Come to your brain gym now. What is the first stage of systematic review? Assess the relevance of each study to the research questions. Define the purpose and scope of the review. Appraise the quality of studies from the previous step. Survey all the literature contained with a single library. Any guesses? Let us see the answer. Define the purpose and scope of the review. This is very clear. The first step we wanted to be what is the purpose and scope of your review wanted to be collected. So that is what we have seen in the first systematic review, the first stage. And narrative review method is also known as traditional method. This is quite simple for you. Traditional method. And which method of literature review commonly used in the healthcare professionals? Systematic method. Okay, systematic method. So more commonly we use in the healthcare professional. Even other meta-analysis, other type of reviews also, mapping, scoping reviews are there. Many type of the reviews according to the theoretical view they are going to define or the stating of the classification or types. But very important, these 5 methods we are going to be discussed are enlightening you what are the different types of the review literatures are found. And coming to the last section, I wanted to be have some bringing you to be have more focused on how to structure the literature review. Maybe in the next session again it is going to be come with a more detail. Have some idea here how to narrate the literature in your thing. There are some methods we are using. One is funnel approach. You have no funnel, no? Funnel, oil we are putting our water, liquid, everything. So top it will have the broader. Coming to the low, it is more focused and sharpen will be there. Here this funnel approach we are using here. Reader knows and reader doesn't know. That is what we are going to be do. That here introduce the field broader focus. Whenever we are collecting the literature are going to be write the or structuring your literature review, make sense of introducing the broader field or takes enough type of the or enough source of literature review and focus on specific studies related to your topic. What exactly you wanted to be in that specifically you want to be. And finally end with the gap analysis, what you are going to be implicate or that is what we are going to test your hypothesis. This is a one funnel approach. This is what how we are going to structure your literature. Maybe background more to be with the your topic area than your research question we are collecting. Narrow the categories. You are going to make the sources in more detail. Maybe in the literature review you are going to have some classification. related to cause, related to particular age group, or related to the particular river subject. Like that, we are splitting the different headlines or thematically we are collecting, and categorize the again close to your research, and you may find you are looking for few papers which may more detail you want to be implicate in your things. So this is what in the panel approach. So this is how we are going to structure your literature. In the panel approach, maybe in the if we have in the different section also, if it look the broader section in introduction and scope, when we are writing your research paper, that is a top, that is the broader approach background we are collecting. Coming to the discussion, we are going with a very close research findings which are supporting to your study, you are going to choose it. So like that, we have the one method, the structuring of the literature is a funnel approach. We are going to structure the literature review. And other thing, organization of literature review with a 3-section method we are using. One is introduction, body, and conclusion and recommendation section. In the introduction, giving the reader a quick idea of your topic, the central theme or organizational pattern you will be follow. Usually in introduction, need and the scope and what exactly you wanted to be take of your research, or taken or completed your research work, you are going to narrate. If you read that introduction, the complete the scenario or the area you are interested will be highlighted. So that is in introduction we are taking some of the studies, quoting or literature. And in the body contains your discussion of the sources. What are the sources are the literature you are going to be maybe in the literature review chapter or maybe in the discussion. And in conclusion and recommendation, what you all learned, that questions it and rise for you, how you plan the processed, what seems to be missing, all these things, recommendation, limitations, are the conclusions we are going to be write the things. So these are the 3, again another method how we are going to structuring your literature review. And in detail, if you want to know about that each structure, the first in introduction section, just like any good introduction, the introduction section of literature review should also introduce the purpose and layout of your chapter. And in other words, your introduction needs to give the reader a taste of what's to come and how you are going to lay out the things, your concept you are going to be. Essentially, you should provide the reader with a high-level roadmap of your chapter to give them a taste of journey that lies ahead. So if you read the introduction, it may creating the interest on the further reading of your paper. So that is what in the introduction section. And some area in the introduction outline it gives, and the scope of your literature review which you are going to be mentioned, and also which is will not be covered, that delimitations also will be narrated over there. And also some clear focus also we need to be drawn in this area. In other words, grappling with the literature, you will have opinion about what the trends and concern are in the field, as well as what lacking we need to be addressed. And also in this section, present ideas so that clear to examiners that you are aware of how research connect with the existing knowledge. Already the knowledge what it is present, that you are going to be connected, that has to be written in the introduction section. And coming to the next section, the body section, here center of the work, exactly we have to be focus are here, where the present, analyze, evaluate and synthesis component we are going to be included in the existing research. Therefore, it is important to carefully think about how you will organize your discussion to present it, which is very clear with the supporting literature you have taken. When thinking about structuring your literature review, you need to think about which structural approach will help provide the best review, and for specific type of research and objectives, we will get with a very clearly focused way. And also we have in the body section, we have again with the 3 options we are organizing your structure. One is chronological order. Most probably we follow with this chronological order, the recent data with the 5 years, that is chronological. Organize the literature chronologically in one of the simplest way of structuring your literature review. And you start with the what published first and work your way through the literature until your research work published most recently. And the benefit of this option is to make like easy to discuss the developments and debates in the field they have emerged over a time. And organize your literature chronologically also allow you to highlight how specific articles or pieces of work might have changed the course of the field. In other words, which research has the most impact. That also will come to have idea. And also therefore this approach is very useful when your research is aimed understand how topic has unfolded over time and is often used by scholarly in the field of history. And also that said that this approach can be utilized by anyone that wants to explore change over a time. Maybe earlier I would like that, after 5 years how we have come with a new area. So this is possible only can be seen this chronological ordering of literature if you state the things. So next in this body section we go with a second option, that is a thematic, grouped by theme. Thematic, the research review chapter we are writing with based on thematic only. Approach to structure the literature review means organizing your literature theme or category. For example, independent variable, factor that have impact or specific outcome. You have been collecting, synthesizing literature, you will likely to have started seeing some themes or patterns of emerging, and you can use the themes or patterns as structure for your body discussion. And the thematic approach is the most common approach and useful for structuring literature in the most of the fields. In all the fields we try to be used in this thematic way of structuring the literature review. The next is in the methodological section also, the methodological also we are using in the body. And here the structuring your literature review by research methodology is used. Organizing your discussion based on the angle from which the piece of research was approached, for example like quantitative, qualitative, mixed type of the methodologies we are used. And structuring your literature review by methodologies can be useful if you are drawing research from a variety of discipline or critique different methodologies. And the point of this approach is question how existing research has been conducted, which methodology, what exactly methodology has used with the supporting of the literature review. So the last section is the conclusion section. Here once you have completed the body section, your literature review using one of the structural approaches we discussed is wrap up your literature review. Pull all the pieces together to set the direction for the rest of your dissertation or thesis in the conclusion or discussion, where they present the key findings of your literature review. And also in this section you should emphasize the research that is especially important to your research question, highlight the gap that exists in the literature. This is very, very important in the conclusion or discussion chapter. What the gap or what new things you are identified compared to the previous literature review. Maybe in the previous paper it has shown that the particular age group is more prone, but in this present research you are not come with that age group is not vulnerable group. So like that something it has some new existing identification of findings you come, that gap has to be highlighted in this section. Based on this you need to make the clear what you will be added in the particular literature. This is very important, adding or novelty. Most of the time our teachers are bothered about novelty. Where is novelty? The questions comes everyone. What is the novelty? Even so many research review literature, everything has gathered. Finally our teacher must be satisfied with the novelty. New. The finally what is the finding which has new you are founded compared to the previous studies. That is has to be added in this section thing. And in other words, justify your own research by showing how it will fill one or more of the gaps you are identified. And last but not least, it is a very intention to develop conceptual framework for your own dissertation and thesis. So always it is a good place to present your own new identification is in the conclusion section or in the discussion chapter. What you are identified new things compared to the literature review, what it is earlier has found. Now time for you people to be recap. In which section the structure, the review literature meets the purposes and layout of the project chapter. Which section? Any guesses? We'll see the answer. Introduction section. Very simple. In introduction section, we'll have come up with the layout and what the purposes of the literature we are having. And one more question. Literature collected is reviewed and preferably arranged alphabetically, chronologically, randomly, none of these. Chronologically is the answer. Okay. And here, in another way, maybe one is funnel approach, one is 3-section, and coming to the very common approach or way we are going to structure the review literature, there are two. One is introduction and another one is a discussion section. Most of the time in our thesis, we are going to be use this type of the structuring. Here, that is one is introduction section, introduce the topic very clearly with the supporting of previous research studies, establish the significance of the study, why we are taking up this present problem because of quoting of previous studies report, and provide a overview of the relevant literature which has already done with the present topic, establish a context for the study using the literature, identifying the what gap has not conducted or what you are going to be supposed to do in the present research, and illustrate how the study will advance the knowledge on the topic. As you see, literature review plays a significant role in the introduction section. No doubt in the introduction section we are going to be play more important. However, there are some mistakes we must be avoid in this section. One is elaborating on the studies mentioned in the literature review. So what the elaboration already done, that things must not be taken here. And using studies from the literature review, aggressively support your research. It is not supporting something contradictory way. It is going to be make your research report is not to be happy with the other things. So aggressively support your literature not to be taken, and directly quoting studies from the literature. So take copy paste, this business not to be allowed. Take something comprehensive and precise way to be represented the literature review. And what we have to be considered in the discussion section, maybe rather to the researcher review, therefore you should be use the studies mentioned in the literature review, support and evidence of your study. That is the previous, how we are going to support and recommend and justify your results with the previous result. That is what we are going to do here. There are 3 ways we are going to be used in the discussion. One is provide context for your study, what they exactly want to be concept. That is help to set the foundation, how you are reveal your findings into the in your report writing or dissemination section or discussion section, and compare your findings to the other studies, previous studies. This is very commonly we does this in the previous studies we are taking and comparing. You can use previous literature as a backdrop to compare your new findings. This helps to describe, also advance your ideas. And last, state the contribution of your study. So what is your contribution on new, the gap, idea compared to previous studies you are enlightened. Here addition, developing your ideas. You can use literature reviews to explain how your study contributed to the present field or present study compared to the previous study. So these are the things. And coming to the common mistakes in the discussion section also we must be avoid. One is they mention all sort of studies, some of which are not even relevant to the topic under investigation. Many times our PG or the student does this simply. Maybe numbering of citation or reference has to be increased or something paper increasing, we does that mistake. So avoiding of unrelevant, maybe not to be relevant to your investigation. Second, instead of citing the original article, they cite a related article that mentioned the original article. This also should not be done. Avoid as much as possible. Take the original article and citation, not with the already the article which has cited things are not to be, but take that original article and citation is to be done. And last is some authors cite previous work solely based on to the abstract without even going through the entire paper. Most of the time we take abstract, not to detail read about the manuscript. So try to be read, not to quote with only abstract. These are the some of the mistakes must be avoided even in the while structuring the thing. And common mistakes overall, if we talk, accepting another researcher's finding as a valid without evaluating methodology and data. We never bothered about what methodology, how they conducted, whether it is a published in indexed or peer reviewed, nothing. Just take and copy and paste. This is very wrong. We does this. That should be avoided. Ignoring contrary findings and alternative interpretations. Contrary findings and other things we are going to be ignored. And providing findings that are not clearly related to one's own study, that are too general, not focused to your research area, but simply generally you are quoted. That should not be. Allowing insufficient time to define best research strategies and writing. and reporting rather than synthesizing isolated statistical results. This also, we have to take our own way of to be analyzing our own data, not like that exactly taken, and choosing problematic or irrelevant keywords, subject headings and descriptors, and relying too heavily on secondary sources. Try to be collect of the primary sources and failing to transparently report research methods, and we are not to be enough keyword and searching method has to be implicated well, and summarize rather than the synthesize the articles. These are some of the common mistakes we must be avoid during structuring of the literature review. And in conclusion, we come up with the end of my session. I hope you have enlightened what is the basic concept of literature review. It is a scholarly source on specific topic, very simple, comprehensively can speak. It provides the current knowledge, allowing you to identify relevant theories, methods, and gap in existing research. Finally, they are the key steps in literature writing is search for relevant literature, the sources where you have to be searched, and what keywords has to be, what the manuscript or article citation to be taken, and evaluate the sources which you are collected that based on to the funnel approach or maybe other body section and other approaches. You can be identify the themes, debates and gaps, outline the structure, and write your literature review with the more satisfactorily. Always the good literature review doesn't just summarize sources, it is analyze, synthesize and critically evaluate to give a clear picture of the knowledge on what the subject you are going to be used in your own research work. So I hope I have enlightened some of the knowledge that what the objectives I have stated have what about the literature review and essentialities and purposes and what are the different types of literature review and what way we are going to organize a literature review. Thank you.